I want to bring in our next guest. That's Neil Patel. He's the co-founder and publisher of The Daily Caller. He's with Tucker Carlson Network. He does it all, and he was last night at that victory party alongside President Trump. Neil, good to have you on the program, sir.
Vince, how's it going? Great to be here.
On a great day, too, to celebrate a big victory for the right. What was it like with President Trump last night? What was the energy like there?
You know, the energy was amazing. The place was obviously packed, and Tucker did his live show from Mar-a-Lago on site, and it was a blast. And you know how these things always go. Like there's a nervous energy early, and then last night, especially it kind of started moving into like a very positive nervous energy, but no one wanted to come out and say, this was over. And
Yes.
then eventually people started looking at the numbers and just saying, there's just no way he can't win at this point. And then the whole thing exploded. It was amazing.
I hear that President Trump was actually pretty optimistic almost throughout the entire night. Was that your read?
I've heard that. Yeah. I from his team, and he talked a few times at the various rooms at the event, and he seemed pretty positive. He wasn't letting on in the broader groups as much, but I talked to some people who were, closer with him and were sitting with him, and he was pretty positive.
That's cool. That's very cool. So, as you read it, I mean, you're a student of all these elections and watching them closely and kind of keeping an eye on what's happening in the United States of America. What do you think this election means? You have the biggest election yet for President Trump, popular vote victory. Does so well in the Electoral College. Crystal clear he's got a mandate. He's picking up the Senate, likely to have the House, coming in with some obligations to the American people. What do you think those are?
Well, I think the message from Trump has been the same since 2016, and it's never been received really by establishment Washington, which is people want change. The system is not working for too many Americans, and they want to fundamentally take it down and rebuild it. And this election, he was outspent, more than 2-1. It's numerous efforts to put him in jail. The most crazy press coverage I've ever seen. They went Hitler. By the end, they ran out of options, and they just started screaming Hitler. And yet he wins with not just winning all the swing states, but the popular vote, the most diverse voting electorate for any Republican that I'm ever aware of. I mean, crazy. And so I think change and I think the working class Americans rose up and said, we're done. And if you look at the voting by income and by geography and match those up together, that's clearly what happened here. And, it's amazing. And I really, really hope official Washington takes note.
I think they are taking note today. It's just a matter of how they react. You've navigated these corridors for a while. You've worked in presidential administrations. Do you think that President Trump is going to be able to be successful to blast through the establishment this time? And what kind of resistance will he encounter?
Well, I think he's still going to have a lot of resistance. These things always go in cycles. So we're going to be in a couple-day cycle of there probably will be some sort of soul searching. My guess is usually pretty short. I really hope it's not short this time, and that people really think about what's going on in the country, because they're screaming at Washington at this point. The problem is most of institutional Washington isn't really down for a big reform agenda. So can President Trump push it through? I think it's clear he has a mandate. I think he's learned a lot of lessons and can bring in a lot of reformers this time. I think one of the most amazing things is the realignment that's going on, and some of the Democrats who joined him, and the sort of natural health people signed on,
Yes.
and they have their own agenda. And so how does official Washington react to all that? I mean, I hope well, and I hope President Trump can push it through. I think J.D. Vance, as vice president with experience in the Senate, can really help on the legislative side. But there aren't, if you look at even after last night's election, there aren't that many, even amongst the Republicans in the Senate, there aren't that many that are down for that kind of reform agenda. Most of them are establishment Washington types, very much driven by corporate interests, who will probably be hard to bring along. So I think if he picks a couple things and drives them really hard, he can get those done, and then we'll see. TBD. He's certainly got a lot of momentum right
You know,
now.
it's funny. For many years, there have always been people who've wanted to reform Washington, but didn't really understand enough about it to get it done. And I'm looking at the coalition of President Trump right now, and boy, he's got some heavy hitters with him. Obviously, President Trump's been president before. He's been a businessman. He was a Democrat donor for many years. Hillary Clinton went to his wedding, even as a result of those donations. You've got Elon Musk, one of the biggest federal contractors, is now with President Trump. He is going to run some sort of Department of Government Efficiency. You've got a Kennedy on board, RFK Jr. You've got Tulsi Gabbard, former Democrat, member of the House recently. You've got a lot of people who know what they're doing big time. And I imagine that kind of expertise is going to lead to at least some successes on this mission.
I think so. There's so much that's needed to be done, and some of those guys are just heroic. I mean, the censorship that was happening and the single-handed effort by Elon Musk to provide an outlet for actual free discussion I don't think you can overstate it. And then the realignment that we just talked about, it's not just along racial lines, but this political realignment that we're seeing, and someone like Elon Musk coming aboard is amazing. So yeah, that guy's been a dynamo at anything he's done. So I can't really say I would bet against him. On the flip side, the bureaucracy, they're really good at what they do, which is slowing anything down they don't like. They're really, really good at it. And a lot of times people from the business world come in, and it's a whole new world for them, and it is difficult to navigate.
So what kind of gamble do you think Elon Musk made here? Obviously, it paid off.
I think he put every chip in. That guy has tons of business dealings with the U.S. government. He's just got he's the richest man in the world. He's got these huge businesses.
Yes.
And he put it all on the line. Because what would have happened to him if Kamala won after what he did with Trump? I mean, I can't imagine. So that guy, what a debt of gratitude everyone owes him.
Yeah, he adopts America and then he helps save it, which is which is a wonderful story. Really
amazing.
Yeah, really, really big deal. When you talk to Republicans, do you get the sense that everybody's super pumped now and feel like that maybe there's some glimmer of hope on the horizon now with President Trump coming back and the Senate, for that matter?
People are more pumped than I've seen in years. I think there's a real sense that this, all the cliches, first of all, most cliches are true. This really was the most important election. And we couldn't handle many more years of the insanity we've been dealing with. And it is an insanity. And I think when we look back on this period and some of the wild things that were promoted, stuff about, having kids have irreversible surgeries when they're still minors. We can't let them decide to get a tattoo, but they can do that.
Yeah.
Or the defund the police insanity or open the borders insanity. There's just so many things. The censorship. I think we're going to look back on this era and think, like, what happened to people? And this election was so crucial to move beyond that. And I think it's a huge opportunity for that. And most Republicans I know are like just more pumped than I've seen in years.
And it reminded me, it restored my faith in the people of our country too. I know there's so many great people, but I didn't realize just how many. And I'm really grateful for that. I think it was a great outcome for that reason.
I was on the tour with Tucker, and we went to 20 cities, and you're meeting so many new people in every city, and it was clear that the press, just like everything that the press has been doing recently, like it bears no semblance to what you experience if you travel around and see people. Normal people were just, first of all, so happy to be finally heard and really motivated because they thought they could finally have some change, and I think it all came through, and so it did. It's just so reaffirming.
I love it. All right. Neil Patel, a good friend of mine and publisher of the Daily Caller, and was with President Trump last night. Neil, good to talk to you, sir.